What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Weekly Pulls. Like, subscribe, share, comment. My name's Derek. If you didn't check it out yet, check out yesterday's video for my promo for Thrashers. Let's get these Kickstarters funded. For this video, this is, you guessed it, the Indie Comic Spotlight 5th edition. This is the 5th Indie Spotlight that I've been fortunate enough to do, and none of these would be possible without all you amazing indie creators out there inboxing us your stuff. So for all of you that have sent us the materials for this video, previous videos, and the future videos, thanks. All right, let's jump right in. First up, we have Jackal. We have Heath Michaels, Philip Remy, Falk Hansel, Marco Della Verde. If you're here to hear names pronounced correctly, you're in the wrong place. They call me the Butcher. I hope I said your names right. Jackal is super cool. It really gave me The Boys vibes. We have this superhero team, but we don't really know if their intentions are pure yet. Our main protagonist, Jackal, has just gotten out of prison. We're not exactly sure what for. He's not treated very well on the outside. There's so many different characters in this comic, and it's a lot of fun. I love when there's multiple characters. We have this one guy, my favorite was called the Seer. He gives me the Watcher vibes from Marvel, but when I read his dialogue, he almost kind of reads like a Dr. Manhattan would in Watchmen. I really enjoyed Jackal. Definitely find Heath on Twitter. Check out this Kickstarter. Jackal is available on comiXology. There is no physicals yet, but hopefully if they can get some backing, there will be physicals. On to the next one. We have the Hellfire Verdict from Daniel Alvarez, Joe Cavas, and Katia Fantini. This book was very complex story-wise. It wasn't so complex you felt dumb reading it. I feel like there's a lot of, not even just comics, but a lot of novels out there where it's like the writer has tried to make themselves seem too smart, and when you read it, you feel dumb. This is not the case. Daniel Alvarez is the one that inboxed me this, so Daniel, thanks, homie. There's several different masked characters wearing the different animal masks that represent their different styles for interrogation. They've kidnapped this congressman, and they're putting him on a kangaroo court for his crimes. It's really good to read. I really like the dialogue between the congressman and these masked villains, or heroes, depending on how you feel. One of my favorite pages out of here is that sequence with the candle being lit. It's really good. I really love that. The art in this book is really good. This is definitely a psychological story, and it's told very well through the dialogue and through the art itself. Thank you all so much for sending me your book. If you listened to the Weekly Pulls podcast, you heard us talk about this one last week, Tales from the Fantastical Crimes Unit. I love this comic. This was so much fun. My favorite genre is crime and noir, and this took that and mixed it with fantasy. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not really a big fantasy guy. Don't get me wrong, I love Lord of the Rings, D&D's cool, but when I read fantasy, it's really hard for it to keep my attention. This really blended the genres together perfectly. Sean French, Steve Mardo, Steve Levine, Rob Jones. The story follows Detective Victor Marshall. Victor gets a new partner on the Fantastical Crimes Unit. She's not very experienced. He's dealing with that. Doesn't really want her to be his partner. He doesn't get much of a choice. Tasked with the objective to find the Queen of the Centaur's daughter, and she's given him the ultimatum, which is basically, find my daughter, I'm going to kill and burn everything to the ground. This is a really fun story, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your book with us. Fantastical Crimes Unit. Check it out. This next one we also discussed on our podcast last week, but I really wanted to give you guys visuals of these books. Darling. I've read issues number 1 and 2. This is probably one of, if not the heaviest comic that I have been inboxed. This deals with drug addiction, drug abuse. One of the creators of this book and a brother unfortunately passed away from drug abuse. In light of all of this, a portion of the proceeds are going to be put towards recovery efforts. So if you buy this comic, some of your money is going to go to a great cause. This comic is off the chain. Art-wise, story-wise, creative-wise. This follows our main character, Francis Darling. He's a struggling heroin addict, but like most addicts, he doesn't see a problem with it, and he's living his life going through the motions. At one point, him and his best friend, they break into his ex-girlfriend's apartment trying to steal some stuff for money. Issue 1 going to issue 2, Francis finds himself in the middle of a drug war and in the middle of a missing persons case involving a young girl. Some really heavy stuff. I really love this comic. As I said in the podcast, The line work in this comic is so well done. The lines are so crisp and they're so pure, but when you look at it, it still looks super chaotic. And it's a great metaphor for Francis's life, because I would imagine living your life addicted to drugs, it is very chaotic. Really looks like some really old school New York graffiti. This story is so good. Michael Flyzak, Todd Hunt, Dave Mims, Zach Turner, Rena Franca, thank y'all so much for sending us your books. Said this book has a very serious tone, very good at putting in more lighthearted moments to ease that tension. Such a great comic. I can't rave about Darling enough, guys. Get on Twitter, find this book, pick it up. Next up is a repeater. I've talked about issue 1 for this series, and Scott Kish was so kind enough to send me issue number 2, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Wrath. I love Wrath. This is a really good story. Go back to my previous indie spotlight, check out what I had to say about issue 1, and then come and check out issue 2. This is great stuff. This is from Wicked Publishing, which also does the Ironverse. My boy Jack Irons. They're putting out some really great comics, you guys. In issue 2, we learn more about Doug and his powers. Nicole is in disbelief of what Doug did in issue 1. Nicole then decides to help Doug. They go to the library, they do some research. She helps Doug harness his powers. He is in fact able to control them a little bit, and he's able to speak to Nicole while he's having his out-of-body experience. This is a really interesting story. Really looking forward to where this is going. In the last issue, he turned into what they call the Rage Puppy, and in this issue, we see him have an out-of-body experience, but it's a human form. I really love Wrath. I can't rave about this one enough. We're going to discuss it on the podcast this week as well with my co-hosts Tevin and Ricky. Definitely be on the lookout for Wrath. Check those out. They're super fun. Last but not least, we have a Kickstarter. Killer Bad. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen me retweeting about Killer Bad a lot, because the Kickstarter is now active. They went live, I believe, either yesterday or early this morning. Seen a lot of you retweeting it as well. Killer Bad is a lot of fun. Jeffrey Barant, Jason Gounger, Jeff Powell. This is a really interesting story, and it has an old school vibe mixed with a more modern twist. This is a superhero slash horror story mixed together. I really like the vibe I got from it. I've only read the preview, but it's fantastic, as you can see behind me here. This is rookie hero amongst a team of other superheroes that have already seemed to have been working together for a while, and they really know what they're doing. This kind of gave me a Suicide Squad vibe mixed with kind of a Justice League. These heroes definitely aren't afraid to get their hands dirty and do a little bit of killing, but they are organized in such a way. There's some really good panels in here between all of the characters, which I gotta say, there's a great character list in here, and they're all written very well. There's some great dialogue here of them on this airplane getting ready to skydive into this island to complete their mission. This is really fun. I love the art. It gives me that old school 80s newsprint vibe. Killer Bad is live on Kickstarter. Definitely check those guys out. I'm super excited. Alright, that wraps it up for this week's Indie Spotlight. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Follow me on Twitter, @TheWeeklyPulls. Follow my co-hosts, @TheTevin-the-I, @Z13 Ricky Z. Check us out. Tomorrow we're going to be recording the Weekly Pulls podcast, and it's going to go live Thursday morning. Friday evening, me and Ricky, we're going to be interviewing the writers of Bigfoot Does Karate. It's going to be very interesting. I've done 2 comic giveaways so far. I'll probably be doing more in the future as the followers and the subscribers go up, so definitely be on the lookout for that. The Weekly Pulls is expanding. Once again, thank each and every one of you for all of your support. Thank each and every single one of you creators that have sent us your books, past, present, and future. We're very thankful for you. We here at the Weekly Pulls really want the indie comic scene to grow, and most importantly, thrive. I believe every Kickstarter, every Indiegogo deserves backing, and I believe there is a group of people out there for every book out there willing to back it and get these books on shelves and into people's hands. I believe that comics is the greatest medium out there, and we're here to give you guys a platform. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.